Hi everyone, I'm Naima. Welcome back to my channel and Happy New Year. This video is going to be about my ups and downs with exercise since I got COVID and then developed long COVID. I got COVID in March 2020 and I seemed to recover just fine after a few weeks, but then I started to develop chest pains that would come about every few days and I got a rash all over my body. And then fast forward to October 2020, I became almost completely bedbound and my symptoms worsened in severity. So now it's been about a year and 3 months since then, and I spent a lot of the year resting and pacing, and I completely changed my lifestyle. I've now started to see some improvements and I've got a treatment plan in place as well, and I think my symptoms are starting to stabilize. It's still a lot of ups and downs and I'm still by no means completely recovered, but now I think I'm ready to start integrating exercise back into my life. And I'm now at a point where I worked out where my baseline is. So this is the amount of activity I can do without worsening my symptoms down the line. A lot of us with long COVID suffer from something called post-exertional malaise, or PEM. Post-exertional malaise is the worsening of symptoms following even minor physical or mental exertion. So symptoms typically worsen 12 to 48 hours after the activity, sometimes longer, for days or even weeks. It makes it very difficult to know how much or how little to exercise, and so sometimes you end up being bedbound or scared to do any activity in case your symptoms get worse, and then you have to suffer the consequences for days or weeks after. In this video, I'll be sharing how I used to exercise, what my life was like pre-COVID. I'll also talk about how I've tried and failed several times to exercise since my diagnosis, and how precarious my relationship with exercise has been since I've been ill. And finally, I'll move on to how I'm planning to exercise from now on. And over the next few months, I'll be recording my progress on here. I'll be sharing how my exercise plan is going, if it's going badly, if it's going well, the ups and downs that come with it. So this is to hold myself accountable and also to share, because I'm honestly starting from square one. I've never been this unfit. I've not moved for about a year. If you're interested in following this, then don't hesitate to like and subscribe. As I always say in these videos, I'm not a doctor and I can only speak from my own personal experience. So please consult your doctor if you're unsure whether you should be exercising again or how much exercise to do. So before I got COVID, I was very active. Fitness, working out and working towards some kind of exercise goal was always something I was striving towards. It was a huge part of my life since I was a kid. I used to be a competitive swimmer. I used to compete. I used to train every day, several times a day, and I was always competing on the weekends. And in my 20s, I did a wide range of exercise like hot yoga, triathlon, swimming, running, weights, and I probably exercised about 5 times a week on average. So not being able to exercise since I've had long COVID has been the hardest part of my recovery. It's been my whole life before this. It had been the thing that I used to stay grounded, to stay sane, to have something to work towards. And it feels like there's been a gaping hole in my life where exercise used to be. And since my infection, I've tried and failed miserably with exercising to varying levels of intensity. Long COVID tends to be cyclical. It's not the same every day, and there are periods of worsening symptoms for days or weeks, and there are periods where you have a bit of respite from your symptoms. At the beginning, what I would do is I would be bedbound for the worst parts, and then in the good days I would still try to maintain a similar level of activity, mental and physical, as what I used to do. That did not work. I would end up bedbound for weeks at a time, and I had to completely readjust my lifestyle. Then there was a period where I heard about graded exercise and how that had been effective for people with chronic fatigue. It can be quite damaging if you're not doing it right. So I would walk for 10 minutes one day, then I would walk for 11 minutes the next day, then 12 minutes, then 13 minutes, then 14. That's not how it works. You have to add time on quite slowly and making sure that you're not overexerting yourself. And I didn't know that. My instinct was to just push through the pain, and this hasn't worked for me at all. Then more recently I thought yoga or something more gentle could be the answer, and again I started off with way too much. I used to work out for an hour and a half, so I thought 10 minutes would be enough. Even that is too much right now in the state that my body is in. I did 10 minutes every day, and then I ended up in bed for a week. So I've stopped that. A huge part of the problem with exercising with this condition is that I'm having to relearn what exercise means in my new body. When I reflect on how I've been trying to exercise when I've been ill, I convince myself that in order for exercise to be worth it, it has to look like how exercise did before I got COVID. And so this is why it hasn't been working. I need to completely change how I view exercise, and I need to take it so slowly. So now I'm going to be trying a completely different approach. In order to make a new habit stick, you have to make it as easy as possible. So instead of setting goals, I'm going to be creating systems that can help me get to my goal of a full recovery and back to the activity levels that I used to have pre-COVID. In the past, my objectives have been unattainable. It has been to do a triathlon, a marathon, or anything like that, where right now I'm not at the stage where I can do any more than walking about 5 to 10 minutes a day and potentially a bit of stretching. So I need my exercise plan to reflect that, so that I don't stay in this cycle of overexertion, recover, overexertion, recover. So here is my plan. I'm going to be doing 2 minutes a day of exercise. Doesn't sound like much, but if I can do that every day, that's a start. I'm going to be limiting it to low intensity exercise, so no cardio yet. And I'll be doing a maximum of 3 exercises in those 2 minutes. So if I don't get around to all 3 exercises, that's fine. I stop at the 2-minute mark. And I'll be doing the same 3 exercises for the whole week. This is to make it as easy as possible to remember and to have as little friction between me waking up and doing that as soon as possible. And they're all going to start off in bed lying down. My plan is that after doing 2 minutes a day for 2 weeks, if my symptoms haven't worsened, then I can increase it to 3 minutes a day. Once I can do 5 minutes a day in a few weeks, then I can move on to floor exercises and standing exercises. Every week I'll schedule my exercises for the following week, and I'll change my plan according to what has worked and what hasn't. I'm going to be sharing what I learn along the way and what exercises I do and how they impact me. 2 minutes doesn't seem like much, but in 2 months that can be 10 minutes, but right now I'm just going to focus on 2 minutes a day. Before, my attitude was that what was the point if I could only do 2 minutes? Why would I even bother exercising? But I'm starting to realize now that a little bit every day is better than nothing. So here you can see my plan for the week ahead. I'll be reporting back how I get on a monthly basis. I'm going to call these the long COVID exercise diaries, and who knows where I'll be in a few months. I'm hoping I'll be doing a bit more activity than 2 minutes a day, but we'll see. I'd love to hear from anyone else who has long COVID. Don't hesitate to reach out to me or leave a comment down below. What kind of exercise have you been doing? Did you have to start small in order to rehabilitate? And if anyone has made a full recovery, I'd love to hear below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.